Speak up, reach out, go vote, show out. From your neighbor to City Hall. Reach out, go vote, show out. Serving people is what it's all about. Reach out, go vote, show out. Frankfort civic proud. Speak up, reach out, go vote, show out.
From Capitol Halls to Bourbon Balls, this is a City of Frankfort podcast for the Frankfortians. We're swapping stories, spilling the tea, and celebrating the quirks that make Kentucky's capital the best hometown around. Welcome to the City of Frankfort podcast. I'm Scott, and today I have the honor of sitting to chat with Frankfortian Daryl Casey in honor of the service and sacrifice of the veterans in our community. Daryl Casey served our country for 33 years. 3 years in the United States Navy and 30 in the Kentucky National Guard. He retired in 2021 and now spends his time serving our local community in a lot of important ways, and we're going to hear about them today. Daryl, thank you for being here, and more importantly, thank you for your service.
Truly welcome. Thanks for having me today.
We're glad to have you. So let's start a little bit with your background. Tell us about yourself. Are you from Frankfort or from Kentucky?
So I was different. I'm from Kentucky. Born and raised in Shelby County. Graduated high school at the ripe age of 17 and was a middle of the road student, right? Barely at the middle of the road. Had no idea what to do. My granddad, who was a World War II Pearl Harbor survivor veteran, kind of told me, he said, Dink, you need to join the service. You need to grow up a little bit, see the world, kind of figure it out. Mm-hmm. And so I did. I joined the Navy, worked on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, dude giving all the signals and stuff. That was me. I went to Desert Storm while I was in the Navy. Primarily going to the Navy to get money for college, you know, for the GI Bill. Mm-hmm. Got out of the Navy, tried 2 semesters at UK, and I quickly realized, I'm not built for this. I am not a college type person, right? Well, after I got out of the Navy, I had an obligated Naval Reserve service. Mm-hmm. Well, I switched it to the Army National Guard here in Frankfort, and they're like, hey, we'll teach you to be a helicopter mechanic, and eventually you could be a crew chief and flying them. I was like, well, that sounds pretty good. Right. So between the semesters, I went to the helicopter mechanic school. After that second semester, I was just like, man, I can't, this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. Well, they were hiring at the hangar for a full-time federal technician job as a helicopter mechanic. Got that job. 30 years later, I retired from the Guard and from the federal technicians at the ripe age of 50.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big responsibility working on helicopters.
It was.
Last thing you want is something to go wrong in a helicopter and have your name attached to it.
Right. You can't pull over on the side of the road when on the helicopter. That's the truth.
Yeah. So, 33 years military experience. Mm-hmm. What lessons would you say from your time in the military have stayed with you the most?
Oh, gosh. Just for me, it's do the hard things first, right? You know, life is hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just it. You know, there's no really easy days. But in my mind, if you do the hard things first, then it gets easier. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I would have been in my life if it wasn't for the service, honestly. Mm-hmm. You know, I had no clue what to do, where to go, what my life was going to be. And, those were the days where they said, you have to go to college to become anything. You have to go to college. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. And the military was just a place for me to kind of figure it out. And then I realized I kind of like this, and so I'm just so grateful for it. But, do the hard things first, attention to detail, be where you're going to be when you say you're going to be there, and just be a good person. Yeah. It's sometimes you see that out there. It's it's so much effort to be negative,
Mhm.
right? To be just a good person, do what you're supposed to do, and things like that.
No, it makes
But
sense.
yeah.
I think that, especially just the fact that you committed your life to service.
Mhm.
I didn't serve in the military, but I've served my community for 25 years.
Sure, same thing. Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said for just committing yourself to a life of service to
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
The world needs more of that.
Mhm.
Always just the willingness to put others before yourself, and that's what you do when you commit your life to service.
Mhm.
You're just putting everybody else before you.
Yep.
And
Sure
the
do.
hard work for sure. I always refer back to something that Bruce Lee said, which was pray not for an easy life, but for the strength to endure a difficult one, because
Exactly.
life is going to be tough.
It is.
And I think that's something that definitely the military and that law enforcement has given me, is just
Mhm.
not being afraid to do the hard
Mhm.
work, and like you said, doing the hard things first, and
Mhm.
everything else from that point just kind of gets easier. So definitely respect that. So that idea of service beyond yourself seems to be a common thread that continues in your work today. Let's get into what you spend your time doing right now.
So I'm a member of the VFW here in
Mhm.
Frankfort, Post 4075. I was commander for a couple of years. And then when I left being commander, I still wanted to be involved and engaged in the veteran population and the veteran community. And so we kind of started a office. We're all volunteers. We don't get paid. And what we initially started it for was helping veterans file disability claims, because it can be tough,
Right.
Especially if you're what we call the flip phone generation, right? They don't scan PDF, they don't email, text kind of thing. So we opened up this little office. There was a couple of us as service officers, and we would just make appointments, and people would come in and we'd kind of help them with claims, and we didn't really know what to expect. Fast forward now, almost 2 years since we've opened, and we're knocking on 300 veterans that we've helped.
Wow.
And the community partners we've made, now if a veteran comes in the door who's addicted, we have programs throughout our community where we can help them with. If they're homeless, we have programs in the community we can help them with. So we've kind of expanded the parameters of what we started with to now we're just a one-stop shop.
Awesome.
We try very hard to help to reach out to the veteran community. The VFW has been a super supporter of us, for whatever we need. We are now 8 service officers. 3 of them are females. So if a female veteran comes in and doesn't want to talk to me, completely understand. We have someone who can help them. We've helped veterans with service dogs. We've helped veterans with housing. I mean, it's been really great to see the responses that we've got, and now we're getting, I heard from a friend of mine that you helped them, and can you help me as well? And so we don't have office hours. Like I said, we're all volunteers, but we make appointments at the convenience of the veteran or the family. If a veteran has recently passed and the family's trying to figure out do they qualify for any benefits from the VA or honor guard or anything, we try to be there to help them through it with it.
So what has that transition been like from military service to community service?
Well, one, I got to grow my hair out, which was kind of cool. I had the same haircut since I was 17.
Right. I don't think that's going to help me.
Yeah, I mean, you may not be help. And I got to grow the beard, which was kind of cool. The wife eventually came around to it.
Yeah.
It's been different, because I've been retired since 2021, right? And I still feel some days like I need to be doing something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if there's nothing going on, I just feel like, should I be sitting around?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for me to not do something, right? Or feel like I need to be doing something. But it takes a while. It takes a while to shift from working every day on helicopters and literally having people's lives in your hand when you're working on those helicopters. You know, if you don't do things exactly right and that flight crew goes out and something happens, that's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going from something like that to what I do now, it takes a while, but it has its. I'm really enjoying it. You know, I'm really enjoying it. The thing I didn't ever want to do was not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like a lot of veterans, when they retire, well, I'm just going to sit around the house. Man, that's the worst thing you can do.
Right.
You know, you have to plug into something, whether it's the VFW or the Lifehouse or the library or something, just to occupy your time, keep your mind active, keep your body active.
Right.
You know, you have to find something to plug into.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm very fortunate and thankful to have found.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know, because I'm probably going to be retiring here.
Yeah.
Next couple of years. I keep telling my wife, she said, what are you going to do retire? I said, nothing. And she said, well, you're going to get bored. I said, I can play a lot of golf. Do a lot of
well,
fishing.
see, even that's something
bored.
though. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fish out there you need to meet.
A lot of fish and need to catch them, you know?
Yeah.
So, which we'll see, because I'm sure I'll have to find something, you know, to keep me occupied, because I'll be fairly young and
right.
And as far as like life expectancy goes.
Yeah.
You know
I mean,
you
know, it's one thing to retire when you're 65 or something, like a lot of folks do, but when you're 50 or, you know, however old you're going to be when you retire, I mean, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one thing to work because you have to, and it's another thing to go to work because you want to.
Because you want to.
And then you can kind of, and then you find something that you really like, and you jump into it, and then it kind of kind of works out.
A lot of people don't really, when I probably started to get to know you a little bit better, was with the fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize that the Frankfort fireworks are actually sponsored by and do all the preparation that goes into it, the setup, the cost,
the launching,
all that is done by the VFW.
Yeah. For 66 years so far, the VFW has launched the fireworks for the city of Frankfort.
Yeah.
For the past 20 plus years, our main sponsor has been Buffalo Trace.
Mm-hmm.
Every dime they make from their race that morning at the distillery on the 4th of July, they donate that to the VFW. We then in turn spend every penny of it and launch fireworks for the city of Frankfort.
Yeah.
About 6-7 years ago, I got involved with being on the fireworks team, and you know, I've got had a good veteran friend of mine who was not doing well with fireworks, and I was like, "Come with me on the team, and you're a part of it. You're controlling it." And now he's all in onto it. Shout out to you, Mark Creech. But he loves doing that. I mean, and it's really kind of, you know, we're drawing in other veterans to help us with that, and it's great to see them kind of embrace it and enjoy it again. Yeah. But it's great fun.
It's kind of probably a little bit therapeutic for them.
It is, exactly. It is. You know, especially when you're controlling it, you know, you're putting the flame to the fuse, and that 6-inch shell goes up in the air 600 feet and boom, and you're just like, wow, I did that, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's great.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. You know, a lot of this work that you do is very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can share a specific story, but maybe exclude some names or specifics. But do you have just anything that pops out that has been really rewarding from your work with the VRC in the community?
I do. So, you know, we've helped veterans from Vietnam era to today. The youngest veteran we've had come into the office was a 22-year-old female. She was in the Marines. And when you may remember when we pulled out of Afghanistan,
Right.
there's a place called Abbey Gate that the explosion went off and the 13 service members lost their lives. Well, she was a medic, and first one, the dust was still coming down, and she was there. Horrific thing she saw. She came back home, was having a lot of issues, problems. She came to the VRC. Her uncle sent her down to us. We got her 100% disability, and we also got her a service dog. And now to see her, she's completely changed. I mean, she's back.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, the thing that I've said, and I've said it to veterans, I've said it to the folks here at City Hall, I've said, you know, veterans don't want handouts.
Right.
They want a hand up.
Right.
You know, they get knocked down in the dirt. They want somebody to help pick them up, kind of dust them off a little bit and say, man, that sucked, didn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's get you back up and back out there and go be a human again.
Right.
So that was one great one. Another one we had, I didn't work the case or the situation, but one of my other veteran service officers did. Had a fellow who tried a long time ago to try to get some disability and couldn't figure it out, right? So he got frustrated and just quit it. One of my other service officers got connected with him. And this gentleman at the time was, you know, him and his wife were living hand to mouth, right? Not in the best circumstances, not in the best situations. We got him from 0 to 100% disabled, which is almost $4,500 a month. And then we were able to get him back pay almost $500,000.
Wow.
Our next call was directly to a financial counselor, because we told him, you are not going to be a lottery fail. You know, we need to this is going to change your life, and we need to do it smartly. So we got him set up with a local bank here who offered a financial counselor at no cost. And now he's in a house, has a life again, and is back at it.
That's awesome.
And when you do something like that as a service officer, you know there's somebody else out there. Like you get that, I did it once, I bet I can do it again, right? And so, you know, what we never do is we never guarantee or promise that we're going to get you to that.
Right.
Because a lot of people hear, well, I heard you got so-and-so to this, maybe. But I promise you, we'll do our best. We're going to follow the rules, but we're going to try.
Yeah.
And that's all we can promise. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But knowing how to navigate the VA, and just because you get no doesn't mean no. That means not right now, right? We have to. We may need more information. We may need more data, but we will always try until there's nothing left to try.
Yeah.
And so those are two of the big wins that we've had.
Yeah.
That may not have ever been a win if we didn't have our little office here, right? So we're very proud of that. We're very proud of a lot of the quiet things that nobody knows about. You know, a veteran needs an apartment for a few days, or he needs gas money coming through town, or something. You know, we never give direct cash to anybody, but we have gift cards that are for gas only from local gas stations that we'll give them to help them through, or groceries, or food bank, or whatever. You know, a lot of the big wins are, hey, look what we did, but it's a lot of the quiet things that nobody really knows or hears about that mean a lot to us as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, I know that I'm a huge proponent for mental health resources in law enforcement, really with all first responders, but within law enforcement. You know, we just like a lot of people don't realize that just like our military sees and deals with trauma, our first responders do too.
I would argue that you guys see it more because you're there every day.
Well, and the statistics are out there. So a lot of military, there's two different kinds of trauma. You got acute trauma and you have cumulative trauma. Acute trauma would be an instance like with this young lady, this one traumatic incident that caused, some, whatever was going on, with her. But then you have cumulative trauma that just multiple incidents over years and years. And the average this statistic came out several years ago. The average police officer would see between 700 and 800 traumatic events within a 20-year career. And that's the average police officer. That's not the New York City cop.
Right.
That's just your average officer. An average department in America, I think, is between 10 and 15 officers. So we're talking the average police officer seeing between 700 and 800 traumatic events in 20, and they don't even work 20-year careers anymore. Now they're 25, 30-year careers. So that just is going to multiply that number. So I'm huge on making sure that we have resources out there. We have peer support and different resources here at the Frankfort Police Department to make sure that our guys stay sharp, and that, because it is, it's something that for years was not talked about in law enforcement. It's just kind of like you shove it deep down. Same thing.
Suck it up and press on.
Yeah, and you just press on. Like we still gotta take that hill, or whatever it is. We still got these goals to meet. So you just shove it down and you go on. But I'm glad to see. I think the military, especially after Vietnam. And then after GWAT, that they really changed a lot of how the military was dealing with, with helping veterans when they come home.
Absolutely.
I think Vietnam, we saw the error.
Yep. Absolutely.
In our way.
Absolutely.
You know
agree.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then with GWAT, and unfortunately we learned a lot of this stuff because of error. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My dad says there's two ways in life you learn: trauma and repetition.
Yeah.
Right. When I came back from Desert Storm in '91, I went to the VA. Ain't no way. It was a nightmare. I came back from Iraq in 2005, and that's when they were throwing pills at you, and a lot of veterans got the VA, unintentionally got a lot of those veterans hooked on them, and then it was a downward spiral. 2010 came back from Iraq, and it was a little different. 15 came back from Kuwait, and completely different. And now, I would put our Lexington VA up against anybody. I mean, and I don't know that there's anybody out there who is as good as dealing with mental health issues from the military side than the VA right now. They're saving lives up there every day. There's inpatient. If you were a veteran who's having issues, we could go to the VA right now. I could get you an inpatient treatment that fast because they recognized it. There's holistic approaches now where yoga and acupuncture and other things other than just medication, right? I mean, it took them a while to figure it out, but they've got it figured out now. And I am so grateful to have that Lexington VA clinic just up the road here on 127. The director of the VA said that we in Frankfort are going to get a community-based outpatient clinic in Frankfort.
I know that
coming up
I've heard that's in the works.
Coming up in the next few years. So we'll have a clinic here in Frankfort, which is going to be great for a lot of those veterans who can't, for drive or get to Lexington. So the VA is really starting to reach out into the communities, especially, our VFW is the third biggest one in the state.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've got over almost 800 members.
Yeah.
And so once they see that, they're like, we need to put they've got some in these community, they call them CBOCs, community-based outpatient clinics. There's one in Glasgow, there's one in E-Town. They're spreading them out. There's some in Eastern Kentucky, there's some in Western Kentucky, because sometimes the VA is not close, right? And so they're trying to put these in situational places where the veterans in that area can have a place to go to. And so, yeah, the VA is, mental health has been a big thing. And especially, Desert Storm to now, like you said, Vietnam guys, they didn't get treated correctly. Whether it was the welcome home, whether it was the care that they received, but the lessons learned from that is now helping the veterans of today.
Yeah.
Well,
the law enforcement realm, we learn a lot of things from the military.
Right.
I mean, we're not only talking tactics.
Right.
We do learn
the rest of the story as well.
The rest of the story as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the things we learn, whether it's military or first responders, somebody's paid the price.
Right.
To learn that lesson.
Right. Yeah.
So I will have to throw this out there. If you ever get invited to a dinner at the VFW, you better go, because they're going to feed you, and they're going to feed you well. So take that as a note. Am I lying?
You're not lying.
They're going to feed you and feed you.
One thing we're good at is feeding.
So where do you hope to see the VRC in the next 5 years?
The Veteran Resource Center started as kind of a first step in a bigger vision. There is a need for permanent housing for homeless veterans in this area, and the VRC kind of started out as the first step of this giant program, of this big goal. A veteran housing group has kind of formed, and we're working through the steps on how to provide permanent housing for homeless veterans. There are a lot of places in Lexington and even in Shelby County that has transitional housing. Where a veteran is homeless, they get them off the street. They'll give them training on resumes and job placement and things like that. And like for example, in Shelbyville, there's a thing called the Veterans Rural Outreach, where a veteran can stay in one of these tiny homes at no cost to themselves up to a year, and they get all the mental care. VA Louisville comes in and gives them, the care that they need. There's, like I said, there's resume building, there's job placement and that stuff like that. Well, then what? Right? And so in Frankfort, we're working with the VA in Lexington has a program called the VASH program. And they help pay for housing for veterans for permanent housing. So, and so what we're trying to do is, at the end of the day, create a place or something where veterans who start out on the street with no homes, they go through one of those transitional housing programs. And if there's addiction, there's programs for that. Get them cleaned up, get them back out, give them that hand up, and then give them a place. And a lot of housing for veterans is just for the veteran. There's nothing for the families. Well, this thing that we're trying to build would be for veterans with families as well. And, it's a lofty goal. In the service, they teach us crawl, walk, run, right? Well, we're in the crawl stage right now. We're gathering information, just came from a meeting today with the VA and the housing authority here in Frankfort, how they work together and how we could potentially pay the rent for one of these places. So the snowball is being packed. It's up on top of the mountain, and we're about to let it loose and see it and watch it grow. And, I think that's going to be a pretty cool thing. Yeah. To something that we can do here in Frankfort. And we're very fortunate that the city is on board and behind us and supporting this. Because that can be a major obstacle in some places, is getting the support of the government, local government, and we have that. And it's going to be a cool thing to see it grow and kind of. So hopefully in 5 years, this thing will be This will be a living, breathing organism, and we'll get to see the benefits of that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So as a community member, maybe I'm a veteran, maybe I'm not, you know, but I'm hearing this and I'm like, man, I'd love to get involved somehow. Like I see this need.
Right.
You know, how could somebody in our community get involved, whether, you know, in any way?
Right. It's a good question.
Yeah.
We're kind of still in the building the foundation phase right now. But if anybody is interested, you know, because we're going to get to the point where if you're an electrician, or if you're a HVAC guy, or if you're a builder or something, we may need to get some of those resources.
Right.
You can always call the Veteran Resource Center's phone number, 502-352-6541. Leave a voicemail, let us know that you're interested, and we can then reach out. You know, this is going to be an exciting thing, you know, especially coming from the veteran side of this thing. And to see this thing come from an idea to happening, you know, it's kind of a cool process, and we're still learning things about it. We're still trying to figure out a lot of the behind the scenes details, but yeah, it's going to be a cool process, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. There really is. Daryl, I'll tell you, this all just kind of blows me away. You know, I always say, you know, people give you the money, but they won't always give you your time.
Right.
You know, and the fact that you're out here doing this, you know, and just giving of your time, giving of yourself, you know, it's such an amazing thing. Obviously, you're very passionate about it, and you know, my hat's just off to you. For many people, the American flag is something they see, you know, every day, whether it's on a flagpole, wherever, at schools, government buildings, front porches. But for someone who served, obviously that flag can carry such a deep meaning. So what does the American flag represent to you personally?
You know, when I was asked to do this broadcast or this podcast, you know, and they told me about Flag Day and they're kind of kicking around some questions, I was like, don't get too emotional, right? Because it is. I mean, but honestly, when you are part of the military and you go to you get deployed to these foreign countries, and you get there and you look up and you see the red, white, and blue flying. I mean, to me, a lot of it is about, it represents sacrifice. You know, I've been away from home, from my loved ones, my wife, my family, in foreign countries for almost 5 years of the time we've been together. Right. And, you know, but more importantly than just the time, it's the physical and mental sacrifices that military members, give. You know, I always tell people, when you join the service, you're at the best of yourself, right? And, you know, the military takes that and they use you like a tool, because you're just a little cog in the big machine, right? They grind you up sometimes, and sometimes they break you, and you have to figure out how to get back from that. But, you know, I've had friends of mine who we talk to each other quite a bit, and sometimes we have bad days and we have to talk to each other. It's the sacrifice, that the blood that's been spilt from the time that flag, you know, from 1776 to today, the blood that has been spilt because of that flag, representing the United States and fighting for our way of life and our beliefs and our country. It takes on a different meaning when I was in the Navy and in the middle of Desert Storm, and I'm working 18-hour days, And I look up, and over top of the island of that aircraft carrier, you see that flag flying, and you're just like, that's why I'm doing this. You know, that's why I'm here. Or if I'm in Iraq and things are happening and I'm missing home, and I'm, you know, you look up and you see that flag, and or you look down on your shoulder and you see that flag you're wearing, and you're like, that's why I'm doing this, for something bigger than myself. The flag takes on a different flavor and a different purpose when you've committed your life to it. You know, and I am grateful for the time that I spent in the service. And you know, I always encourage people, if your flag is a little bit torn or tattered, bring it to the post. We will see that it's retired properly. Please don't fly it like that, because it's kind of it's a little bit disrespectful of the meaning of that flag and what it's there for. You know, I've like when we go to ball games, UK ball game or whatever, and they sing the national anthem, and you look around, you see veterans, because you can, if you're a retired, if you've served in the military and you don't anymore, you can salute the flag instead of putting your hand over heart. And when I'm at a ball game or whatever and they play it, and I look around and I see those salutes, and I get, you know, it means something a little different.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just the sacrifices that have been given in order for that flag to fly means a whole lot.
Man, I have so much respect for our flag. My grandfather served in World War II. He was over in the Pacific, fighting, you know, to preserve the American way of life. And I mean, really, that, you know, after Pearl Harbor, that really was about keeping Americans safe.
Oh yeah.
The world was in conflict. You know, my father wasn't able to serve. He had polio when he was a kid, so he wasn't able to serve. But you know, just knowing even on the community level what my family has sacrificed,
Sure.
you know, for me to be able to do this for as long as I have, for what they've given up, you know, never any long deployments, but you know, I spent 13 years on our tactical response unit.
Sure,
you know,
absolutely.
Phone ring at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're out the door, and you know, worrying.
See you when I see you.
And then worrying. You
Yeah.
know, like, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, just the things that go into that, and you know, but I do have so much respect for our flag, and I've been to other countries. I think I've been to like 6 other countries. A couple times I was on vacation. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no worries.
But
about
other
that,
times it wasn't. But when you come home. You
Yep.
know, when you come home,
Yep.
I spent the summer after high school. I spent in China, and that was not on vacation. But I was over in China that summer after high school. Man, when you come home and you put your feet on this soil, you
has
know,
a different
nothing-
flavor, a different. You know, you get that kind of good or bad. You know,
and I love going to the ones on vacation too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but when you come home, you know you're home.
Yeah, you know, I don't know that anything spools me up more than when seeing people step on the flag or burn the flag. I'm like, look, man, if you want to protest, cool, I support that. I'm the reason you know, the veterans are the reason you can do that.
Right.
But when you start bringing the stars and stripes in it, then we're gonna then things kind of change, right? I mean, if you don't. And I'm not trying to get political here at all, but good or bad with our country, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
No.
Right? Having been to some of the places and seen some of the things that I've seen, you know, are we great? No. Are we perfect? No. Do we have issues? Yes. But still.
Right.
Yeah, but the
understand what you're
U.S.
saying.
flag is absolutely a not just a piece of cloth that's flying. It's a symbol of all the things that are good and right with this nation, and a lot of that is due to the service and the sacrifice of the folks who have served in our military.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why it means something a little different to us, I think.
Patriotism, it's not just something that's kind of this lofty symbol in our minds. It's also practical, and it can be done on the local level. What would you want the younger generations in Frankfort to understand about service, citizenship, and community involvement?
There are few chances you have in life to be part of something that's bigger than yourself, right? Like whether it's the police, whether it's the fire, whether it's riding an ambulance, whether, it's something that's bigger than just you. And it's something that, and I don't know that there's, speaking personally, that there's something bigger than that, than the military. The military, you're part of something bigger. You don't go out and do things by yourself. You belong to a group of something that a lot of people need. A lot of people need something to help them focus, to help them get away from maybe their home life isn't the best, or maybe they're in a situation where it's not great. The service gives you that chance. Like for me, 17-year-old kid with no idea what to do for the rest of his life. The service gave me that place to kind of figure it out, And then I realized, hey man, this ain't bad, right? And I made it my life, and I am so grateful for that. But just for those kids in high school, the sophomores, the juniors, the seniors, life is hard after high school. Life can be a reality check very quickly. And, I think now people are understanding that college isn't for everybody. You don't have to go to college to have a good life. You don't have to get student loans and all those things to make something of yourself. The trade schools now are getting very, I think, popular, rightfully so, but there's also the service, the National Guard, for example. I think people need to know that if you want to go to college, but you really don't know how to pay for it, you can join the National Guard and they'll pay for your in-state tuition. A lot of people don't know that. It's there, right? It's always there. And it's an opportunity for the younger folks out there to see some of the world, to kind of grow up a little bit, to kind of get those skills in life that employers look for. I feel like I could say pretty confidently that if two people apply for a job, both have the same kind of level, one's a veteran, one's not, I feel pretty confident that the veteran's going to get a pretty good look. Because of what we bring to the table, because of what we've learned, those lessons.
We love hiring veterans.
Because we know you show up, if you're on time, you're late. So you show up a little early, right? Because early's on time is what they beat into us, right? They beat into us. You're part of something bigger. You're part of a team, and you live and die with that team. So that would be the thing that I would want the younger generation to know, is that it's an opportunity that you may not know about or you may not think about, but it's there. And it's tough, it's hard, it's going to be some of the hardest things you've probably ever done in your life, but the rewards you get from it outweigh, I think I said it before, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war, right? So the harder the training is, the more that you learn, and the things you do teaches you lessons that you're going to use the rest of your life. So that would probably be what I would want people to know.
It's funny you said if you're on time, you're late, and I live by that. But guess who taught me that? An old military guy. Ken Hopkins. I don't know if you know Ken. He's retired from the police department, but he's also retired from the Kentucky National Guard.
Yeah.
And he pounded that into me when I was a young officer. If you're on time, you're late. If you're on time, you're late. You're on time, you're late. Well, now, I mean, I live like that. Well, I've got my wife to where she's on time for everything.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. We went to a family dinner here a couple weeks ago, and she said, "We're 10 minutes early. Nobody else is going to be there." And I was like,
I'll hang in the car. That's okay. I won't say that I get anxiety if I'm not going to be there early, but I get a little twitchy.
Yeah, I do too.
It can be 2 or 3 minutes, but I still, sometimes my wife enjoys being what I guess you would call fashionably late.
Yeah.
And I have to I'm understanding that now, and I'm getting okay with it on occasion, but yeah, but I think people appreciate that when you're, especially in a business situation.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So here, well, we talked about this a little bit before. Mm-hmm. You've got a new career.
Kinda, yeah.
Something that I guess you still wanted to have that kind of captain title. So
yeah,
tell Frankfort a little bit about your new career that you're doing.
So I don't really know how I fell into it, but I am so grateful that I did. Frankfort, we have a river tourism company. It's called Kentucky River Tours, and it's run by Nathan and Allison Deppenbrock, who own Canoe Kentucky, and they have a big 64-foot converted houseboat on the Kentucky River that offers tours. I started there as a historical interpreter, I guess you would call it, like a tour guide on the river, and worked there for about a year. And then, Nathan Allison kind of set me down and said, "Hey, we really like the way you kind of operate, and would you be interested in being a captain on this boat?" And I thought, well, it's something to think about. And I kind of got into the thinking about it and talked about it with my wife, and I thought, yeah, that'd be kind of a cool deal. So I had to attend it's a Coast Guard inspected vessel, so I had to go through Coast Guard training. I had to go to 2 weeks of in-house schooling in Bayou La Batre, Alabama, at a place called Sea School. And as I said before, it was like drinking water from a fire hose. All the navigational rules of the road and the maritime law and plotting and all these things. Learned that, built up my time on the boat, submitted all my stuff, and now I'm a Coast Guard certified 100-ton master mariner, and am now a captain in training on the Bourbon Belle here in Frankfort. I absolutely love the job.
What's that like, experiencing Frankfort from the river?
Oh man, it's for those Frankfort folks from Frankfort who have been on the river, what it's like, right? I mean, it's just a whole different side of Frankfort. It's a side that I think is underutilized, but I think it just gives people who have been in our town, which they love the city of Frankfort, but just to be able to see it from the water, and to kind of learn about the history of Frankfort and the history of the river and how it all ties in, and the way bourbon is part of that history. And I absolutely love the job. I never really had that on my bingo card, right. Being a Coast Guard certified captain, but I absolutely love it. It's pretty true. You hardly ever have a bad day on the river. But yeah, I absolutely have a blast working out there. Allison and Nathan are the best people you could ever ask to be your bosses. And I'm very, very grateful to have that job. And, it keeps you busy, right? It's something that keeps me from sitting around the house. Work Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and occasional Saturdays every once in a while. But I absolutely love it. The boat this year, we're going to have concerts on the boat.
Okay.
Couple of Jerry Howell's coming out to do a little show on the boat. Doc Renshaw is coming out to do a little show out there. We've got a concert on our website now of the concert series. So it's just a really cool thing to see the boat and that it growing.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to be kind of there at the beginning of it, and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
You don't have any crazy stories from the river yet, do you? That you can share.
Seeing people swimming during the week right down the river as we're coming along, and it's like
there's a
guy swimming. That's kind of been interesting. But yeah, I tell you what's really interesting is watching people when we get around up to the Big Eddy points and where you see the devastation from the flood.
Yeah.
A lot of people remember seeing us as Frankfort in the news, but when you can actually put that and show them, and then you show the high level or the high marks, and it just, people can't comprehend what it was like living through it, right?
Because that pool, the pool is not that deep.
No. It's
but
12 feet to maybe 18
right.
in some
but
places.
Man, where we got with the flooding was insane.
48.2
some
fish.
If I say it wrong, Ray Kenny will
Yeah.
me, so
He'll definitely come at you.
I saw the podcast. That's not the right number.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Daryl, we want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you all.
For your, especially for me, just thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for yours. I mean, it's kind of a different thing, but you do it every day.
Yeah.
And
well,
I would say Frankfort is a very comfortable and a very safe place because of what you and your brothers and sisters do for us.
I appreciate that. Well, Frankfort is better because of the work that you're out here doing on a daily basis at the Veterans Resource Center. You're impacting, because it doesn't just impact the individual, it impacts the whole community. So we're very appreciative. We like to end our show with what we call Frankfort Rapid Fire.
Okay.
All right. So as a fellow Frankfortian, we want to hear some of your takes on our town. You just have to say the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. No explanation. Just,
Okay.
Like word vomit.
All right.
You ready? Let's go. All right. Favorite bourbon to sip?
Weller 12.
Favorite Frankfort landmark?
Ooh. Paul Sawyer's Overlook.
All right. Favorite special event in Frankfort?
Ooh. Concert series. I like going down there, just hanging out, eating everything, and seeing all the stuff.
I feel like I know the answer to this next one. Coffee or tea?
I'm a coffee dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Military, you gotta be a coffee guy.
Yeah.
Favorite Frankfort Mexican restaurant?
Ooh. So, if I may explain my answer, for Mexican food, Garcia's. I think it's the absolute best in Frankfort. But the best restaurant in Frankfort, period, it's not Mexican, it's Honduran, and shout out to Mommy Machitas, and a big shout out to Maggie at Mommy Mo's. I think Mommy Machitas is the best restaurant in Frankfort.
Yeah.
I would put them up against everybody.
Yeah.
And my, when my wife and I are out there a couple times a week, and let me tell you, we're both pretty pro food, right? I mean, we're good. Everybody's good at something. I'm really good at eating.
Yeah.
and I would say Mommy Mo's is, so it's kind of a subset of Mexican food, but it's Honduran, and
I'm definitely gonna have to.
You got
try
to, man.
I've never been there. But my stepbrother and his wife lived in Honduras for about 12 years. They're missionaries. They live over in Thailand now. So, but they lived in Honduras for about 12 years. I've never had authentic Honduran food,
Buddy.
so I'm gonna have to, because I'm guessing it's the real deal.
It is
authentic.
not Mexican. It's completely
like
different.
what you would think
It's
of.
not chips and salsa and that kind of stuff. It is just flavor, layers of flavor, citruses and spices. Not spicy hot, but just, I mean,
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Well, that
You
does
give it a
I'm,
try.
I'm gonna have to go.
If you don't like
I'm
it,
gonna
I'll
have
buy
to
you
go.
dinner. How about that?
Well,
Guaranteed.
all right. Thanks for joining us this week, fellow Frankfortians. We'll catch you again next week on the City of Frankfort podcast. Don't forget to follow the City of Frankfort podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And make sure you subscribe to our show feed on Podbean to get weekly episode notifications. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.